Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for another Helm Developer Weekly call. Very much appreciate your participation and joining us. And as usual, we follow the CNCF community guidelines. And please put your questions or actually any topics and announcements into the notes. And I'm putting them in chat right now. And it looks like we already have a bunch of great stuff. So thank you, both Matt and Bridget, for adding some announcements. So we'll go ahead and get started with the announcements. Matt, Helm 382 is released. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you for adding it to the agenda, Bridget. I'm sure it was you. Yeah, so 382 is out. 39 will be out next month, and we can have features in that. So get your pull requests in. We probably do need to grab and drag some maintainers into reviewing some of this stuff. 382, of course, is just patch fixes with some of the dependencies being updated in there as well. A big thing was some of the dependencies being updated because some of those dependencies had some issues that affected Helm or could affect Helm. So it's worth updating to this one. Yeah, that's it. It's out. Upgrade.
Awesome. And I'm putting a note in the agenda, as well as I just dropped the milestone for 3.9 in the chat, because people, this is what when Farina says, we would like you to review them. That is the them of things that need reviewing.
Thank you.
Perfect. And Bridget added a bunch of stuff for April and May as well, including the 3.9 release that's going to be on May 11th. So follow that link that Bridget put in the chat, and then that is also going in notes to go review for 3.9. So Bridget, I don't know if you want to go through these announcements or if you're okay with me.
There were just a couple I was hoping that we could get some consensus on. I saw that we have a virtual project office hour at a time that is over the lunch hour at Kubecon EU. So I know I'm not going to be able to join it because I'm going to be like literally standing at our booth. So yeah, we got to make sure we have someone on board, either an EU time zone person or someone in Eastern US who likes mornings. Yeah, I think maybe Karen can give us more clarity on whether or not that office hour time is at all adjustable. But as far as I know, that is the time we have, which means we need to get somebody on Bevy participating for that. Karen, do you have more insight into that?
It's not adjustable. It is like the time slot that I got. That was, yeah, that was after the Helm talk. I think this one's Thursday. So I'm trying to remember. I think I sent out calendar invites to people who have in the past participated, assuming I had your email address. If you did not get an invite but are still interested in helping out, please do ping me. I think maybe Matt Butcher said he was available to help with that. I think there are also a few people in Europe who may not be attending in person, who might be able to help. So yeah, this one is just through Bevy, so it'll just be online through basically Google Hangouts. And yeah, if it's too conflicting of a time, I can try looking into a different time. But as you know, the EU conferences are like very hard to work with these times.
Basically, I just wanted to get that on everyone's agenda so they start thinking about it if that's something they want to participate in. But then the more relevant question is, are we keeping Thursday, May 19th? So we are apparently committed to doing something at 5:30 a.m. Eastern that day, which is super. But are we then also doing something at 11:30 a.m. Eastern that day? Some participants who are sometimes on this call are going to be on site in Valencia. So yeah, that's kind of, I know we sometimes do cancel during Kubecon, but I'm wondering if we have a consensus about what our plan is for the official dev call that day.
I think it makes sense to cancel it.
A +1 to cancel because most of the people, unless David or Philippe, are you going to be there? I'm thinking who's on this call that isn't going to be at Kubecon and whether you want to run it.
Yeah, I won't be able to make it.
And
Okay.
we said, David, I think you met me. I don't think I would be the right person for this.
Okay. So I'm just going to make a note then that we're going to cancel the official Helm call on May 19th and hopefully have people participating in the earlier office hour. That was all I had there. Thanks.
Thank you. So running through your calendar review, Bridget, there's a couple other items, right? So 3.9 release candidates going out May 2nd. So for those of you that want to test before 3.9 drops on the 11th, that would be super helpful. And in looking at the project meeting time, so, okay, maybe we'll have a separate, should we have a separate chat for those of us that are going to be at Kubecon in person, or
That's the meeting room that Karen secured for us, but I'm not sure what the plan is to actually use it. So yeah, we can talk about that offline.
Okay. And then also, let's see. Scott, I see you're here. Do you want to give a plug for your project, for your session at Kubecon?
Oh, right. Well, this is for, I mean, it's actually for all of ours, because you're talking about the project update, right? Helm Project 2022, how you can benefit, how you can help. Yeah, that is yes, I'll just say, please come, and we're gonna focus on you know, really what we're looking forward to, what lies ahead. You know, what's our update, and I know this sounds like I'm just repeating what the title is, but ultimately we're trying to give a future look, not like wildly way in the future, just simply where we're going, and help people know how to get involved. We already have a lot of documentation on how to do that, but it's just really a helpful, like, one part, let's increase our ranks for folks who want to be involved. And another part is just letting people know that even if they don't want to do a lot of the additional work, they can still have a voice. Yeah.
Awesome.
You'll need to finish it, but yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
All right, that looks like enough of the April and May calendar review. Let's move to the discussion section unless anybody else has any announcements. Okay, Karen, project updates for Kubecon and Cloudnativecon.
Yeah, there was an email that went out from the co-chairs. Basically, every year they check in with the project leads and see if there's anything we would like to include in the project update, like keynote slides that they do. Matt Farina has done them in person before. So basically, there's just a call for content right now to see if there's anything we want to include for them to share on stage. So there is a form that I've linked. I don't know if there's anything like obvious that we want to share for the next Kubecon.
So what is landing before the next Kubecon, Matt Farina? Big
Just
ticket.
looking for my unmute button. I don't know. I have not been great at following it. I've been a little bit busy with some of the TOC stuff lately. And so I'm not exactly even sure everything that's going into 3.9 or where that's at or what we've covered since our last keynote, because there's a number of things. I guess if we're looking at announcements and we're looking at the last time, just thinking about things that have already come out, OCI Registry Integration would be a big thing worth highlighting in there, because the last North American KubeCon was months ago and we haven't announced that on stage yet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And for me, one of the biggest hurdles right now with OCI is the certificate management, and hopefully by 3.9 we'll be able to get one of the blockers for certificate management, those OCI registries in. That would be a good another feature to also highlight.
Yes, that would.
Do you have that in the milestone? If not, please provide whatever issue or PR should go in the milestone.
Yes. Can one of you do
I can work
that?
with Andy on this one.
It
Yeah,
was
we
already,
can-
it was already, I was already a milestone
Oh, great.
for the last one, but I think it missed.
It did. And I just moved it up a milestone.
Awesome. Can one of you put the link to that into the notes so we can track it? Please. Or into the chat and we'll put it in the notes. Okay, that's awesome. I'm excited about the OCI registry work. Karen, PR support for the project announcements?
Similar thing, just coming from CNCF PR instead. When I did like the project interest form for Kubecon, I just checked this in case there was anything we might need help with. But basically, if we have any announcements as well, like official PR announcements, CNCF is available to help coordinate working with PR to do like articles, contributed articles and whatnot. Same question again. Basically, do we want PR support for Kubecon for any announcements? I don't know if the registry integration news is. Sorry, what was that? Are you unmuted by accident? All right, I'm going to continue, but for this one, it needs to be like brand new announcements, not something that's happened already. It's more of like things that you are going to share for the sake of Kubecon. So I'm not sure if this is relevant to us. If it's not, we can just pass, but the option to utilize the PR support is there.
So David put into the chat maybe a fuzzing announcement. What do you think?
So we've got fuzzing coming in, but I know I've been busy and I don't think anybody else has touched on fixing any of the fuzzing issues. So while we now have fuzzing, we haven't done anything good with it yet. And I know there's places we need to because I see the emails come in that tell me they are. And so I
it's
don't know what we
related
want to
to-
announce about it.
Yeah, it's related to the next point. So we were also going to speak on that, but just because we were talking about it right now, put it in the comments.
Okay, really quick before we move to the fuzzing report, I changed my gallery view. So Matt Butcher, I see you here now. Was there anything else that's new coming up before KubeCon? Any others other than OCI or? Okay.
Not that I know.
All right, just wanted to make sure we got your input. Okay, Adam or David, do you want to cover the fuzzing report?
Yeah, I can take that one. So the quick thing is just we would like to push it to the report, like the repository somehow, get it up, it's like make it public. So we have done the fuzzing work, we have written the report, and I think Adam shared it 2 or 3 weeks ago. I think so, maybe, or it was last week. I can't remember, one of those. And I think 2 weeks ago. And yeah, we are just waiting essentially to push it up somewhere. And but we would like to have like a confirmation from some of you that it's okay to make it public. And then also once we do that, usually we coordinate with CNCF about publishing some blog posts on either on the given projects, because Helm's blog, or on the CNCF, as I just showed, as I just gave a link to in the chat. There are other links, and I can send more if you need. So yeah, I think our biggest question is, when can we upload the report somewhere, and then we can coordinate a PR essentially after that.
So to Matt's point, do we want to wait for PR when some of the things in the fuzzing report are fixed? Or just throwing that out there?
It depends on the severity, right? If it's I mean, if if it's a day 0 event or something, then we definitely want to be super careful. I think to the point that Farina made earlier is that, we haven't really dug into the level of severity even of those. I think we just got a little update from about fuzzing last time, and we just said, oh, well, they don't seem very severe, so there's no real worries there. Is that still the case?
So real quick, sorry, David, there are no new issues since last week, for the record.
Okay. I guess what I didn't say is really underscore what Matt had said earlier, is that we ultimately should spend the time on looking at those and just at least we got your assurance last week, but we should spend the time looking on those and fixing them. But if it's not something that is if it's something, it just has to fit our normal security policy for disclosure.
So I guess our assessment is they're not security issues, but we can't make it public without you kind of like in a sense going over them.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we are asking. What can we do here?
If there was something for me to look at the week after next, I can probably put some time into going over it that week. It would be later in that week, but at that point, I can start reviewing the fuzzing stuff. Is there anybody who wants to do it with me who's a maintainer?
Sure, I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So just to clarify, is that the week starting the 25th?
Yes.
Okay. And I think the report has, a lot of details about all of it, essentially. So, and that has been shared with you. So I think start from there, essentially. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Notice here, just FYI, that there is a 90-day disclosure policy on OSS Fuzz, which means that if an issue, after an issue has been reported, it will be some parts of the details will be made public after 90 days. It won't be enough details about, it won't be enough details to reproduce it, but there will come a notification in public that there was, whatever issue was found, just type of issue, not reproducer or stack traces or anything like that. Just keep that in mind.
And to add, any questions about reproducing the issues or anything related to digging through the OSS Fuzz logs, I mean, feel free to reach out, and David and I will be happy to help out there.
Okay, so in a couple of weeks, we'll revisit where that stands. All right, Philip, any objections against merging HIP 0016? I'm not sure what this HIP is. I'll pull it up.
This is around the export.
HIP introducing export values for better composability. Awesome. I'll put that in the chat. Do you want to go ahead and go over it?
It has an approval already, but it's not merged yet. Also, I can't merge it, right? As not the maintainer. Just wanted to know if someone else wants to look at it or if it's ready to be merged.
I have a question about this.
It just real quick. It needs to have a second approval from another core maintainer before it could be merged, and that's why it hasn't yet. We do have a policy of we need 2 core maintainers to review this before it can go in.
Okay, then maybe I don't think this is reflected in the PR settings of the repo, because if I'm not wrong, it shows that it would be ready to merge, but I'm not entirely sure.
It's a policy that is not enforced through automation. You are correct.
Yeah, maybe as a feedback, that could be a change worth doing on the repo, right?
I mean, other things go in the community repo besides just things that the specific policy would apply to. So that would need to be a more fine-grained repo setting.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. So other changes in the community repo don't require that kind of. Okay. Yeah, then I understand.
Okay, well, so that's a super good point, and thanks, Matt, for saying that. And Philip, my main question about this is, import values allows values to move upstream into parent charts from child charts, right? Or from their dependencies.
Mhm.
If the goal of export values is to go the other direction, I think I'm confused a little bit about what, and forgive me if this is like really spelled out clearly in this. I did look it over and I still didn't really get why the built-in mechanism for passing values into dependencies from nested YAML inside of a parent chart is insufficient. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. So first of all, like the problem there is if you want to pass it to two different child charts, right, that are not necessarily aware of that. You can do that if they use the global object, right? But that has other implications, right? But if you, for example, want to instantiate the Postgres Helm chart where you have no control over, right? And you cannot just change that it will read something from the global space. Then yeah, you would in the end, the users of your chart would need to overwrite this value twice if they want to change it, right? There's like, I mean, there could be other ways of like linking those values together, right? This is just an approach we came up with where you set one value on the parent chart and it will propagate down to two different values in two different subcharts, or even be used inside the parent chart as well.
I have an unrelated question about this. In backwards compatibility, it says this change won't break any existing Helm chart since it's a new mechanism. But what happens if somebody creates, say, a new chart that has this and they're using an old Helm client? Because one of the things that we find is there are many people who aren't using the latest version of Helm.
Mm-hmm.
They're using an older version. And so if somebody creates a chart with new features in it like this, how does an old Helm client react in that situation? And what do you do? And what's the plan around handling that?
This is
Yes,
a problem we haven't thought about.
So that's the thing I would ask you to go back
Yeah.
and think about. There may be some ways of addressing this. I haven't really thought about it, but that becomes a tricky problem to go ahead and solve.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that there is like a version in the chart YAML, right?
There's also export values is new, correct?
Yeah, so that would be, you could say if you want to use that feature, you have to bump the version of your chart YAML, but only if you
Right.
want to use it, right? You can still create it with the old version to not break, unnecessarily break existing users.
I think there may also be a problem here with existing users. Is the chart YAML one of the files? Does anybody remember that's done with strict parsing, which means an old Helm client would see that there's values in the YAML structure that don't directly map to the internal objects, and then therefore it would fail? Do we know if the chart YAML was that? I know the index YAML is. I think the plugins are, but I don't remember about this.
Fairly sure we changed chart.yaml because of the security report.
Yeah. So we may run into problems here with older versions failing because of the YAML structure changes and the way the YAML parsing libraries work. We need to look into that. I'll put some comments on here, but these are some of the things that need to be looked at before we could go forward. They're some of the technical and other problems. I can comment on that after this call.
Okay, maybe an additional part where this can be useful is like if you do a refactoring, right? You move stuff around then you don't have the freedom like to say this needs to go below this subkey because your chart is already used and you want to split some common part into its own chart. That way it would just, yeah, make it a bit more, make it easier to keep a stable API.
Yeah, and I think I understand the need for this and where people would use it. The problem that I'm running into is technical issues while we stay in Helm v3, and that we might have to do this in a Helm v4, that kind of thing. And that's all I'm looking at. I understand that the use case you put out.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, then.
Thank you.
I will. Looking forward to your comments, and hopefully we find a solution.
We have 3 minutes. So there is a question about the Kubecon survey. Karen, thank you for creating the document for it. Is that something that we can put into the notes doc for people to collab on, or?
Yeah, I shared it in, let me grab the link. I wasn't sure if I wanted to make it an open
Okay.
talk, but we can do that. Let's see.
I guess I should let Jellum ask her question first. Sorry.
No, thank you, Karina. This was one of my questions, and the second one was that I was wondering that instead of just having it open during Kubecon, I was wondering if we could do it such that we launch it on Kubecon and then keep it up for a month, and then we can promote it for some time just to get more respondents. So we can promote it on Slack, on like the Helm channel and the CNCF channel, and then we can promote it from our end on the Twitter, OpenShift Twitter channel. So
I think that makes a lot of sense to keep it open. Yeah, so there really isn't much in there right now. Obviously we can add whatever we want to capture. I dropped the link into the Zoom message window if people want to take a look. I think for now, just add whatever you want to add, and then we'll cut it from there. Just make sure it's not like way too long. But yeah, if anyone has any questions that they think would be worth capturing, feel free to just go ahead and edit the doc that I sent. We have some time, so like, yeah, basically let's just get this done before KubeCon happens. Yep.
Should we give a deadline?
Yeah, let me check the calendar. Let's see. Let's get it done by May 6th. That's like a week and a half before KubeCon. Yeah, I'll drop it in the description at the top just so people can remember the date.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we are at time. So moderator notes or triage really quickly. I know triage is always the hardest to get people for right now. I was going to volunteer somebody, but all right. Bridget said she'll take notes. All right, Joe, thank you for taking. I can do moderator again if nobody volunteers. And all right, at that, thank you, everybody, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.